One of the great things about going to aquarium conventions like the Triple Crown is the opportunity to purchase fish that you may not regularly find in your local fish store or club. Needless to say, the Triple Crown didn't disappoint. So let's take a look at all of the new fish that I found at the Triple Crown convention. Before jumping into the fish, I do want to talk quickly about a couple of non-living fish things that I was able to pick up. First off is this rainbow fish hat that I got from Bentley Pasco. I really do enjoy the embroidered rainbow fish Triple Crown logo on the front. It was definitely a great find, and definitely really happy that Bentley brought these to the convention. I was also really happy to find this copy of Amazonas magazine that featured Gudeids. This came out earlier this year, but I didn't have a chance to pick it up when it came out, so I'm really glad to be able to find a copy now. I haven't been through this completely, but I really do enjoy what I've read so far. So let's start out fish-wise, talking about the only cichlid species I picked up, these Tropheus Mplungu. I'm kind of a sucker for Tropheus. I picked up 3 of these guys at the Babes auction that was held Friday night as part of the American Cichlid Association convention. I really wanted to get more of these fish, but the prices kept going up as the auction went on. So I ended up with this group of 3. Unfortunately, 2 of these fish do kind of stay hidden, and this one dominant fish seems to dominate most of the tank. I did end up putting this group in one of my 2 open 75-gallon tanks. Hopefully, I'll be able to get this small group breeding, and then we'll start to get some fry growing out and getting this colony going. As you would expect, the rest of this fish in this group will be live bearers. So let's start out with a small group of Allophorous Robustus, or the bulldog Gudeid. I was able to get these fish at the Gudeid Working Group auction on Friday night. This is one of the more widely distributed Gudeid species, being found throughout the states of Guanajuato, Jalisco, and Michoacan in Mexico, where it's found in quiet lakes, ponds, reservoirs, and slow-moving streams. My particular fish are from Lago de Zacapu, which is a pretty common collection point for this species. I currently have these small fry in a 75-gallon tank because these fish do get quite large, topping out at over 6 inches long. I've even heard some people say they get larger than that. Here's a couple examples from the fish show to show you what the adults look like. These fish are predatory in the wild, often feeding on smaller fish and invertebrates, but these would definitely not fit in your community aquarium. So I'm pretty excited to see these fish grow out and reach their full adult size. So let's head over now and talk about one of the more colorful species I picked up, the Xiphophorous Pygmaeus from Rio Huachahayan in Mexico. This fish comes in 2 forms, a yellow form like the one you see here, and also a blue form. I was able to pick this fish up at the silent auction that the ALA held on Saturday. As its Latin name implies, this swordtail species stays pretty small, topping out at about 1.5 inches or so. The information that I've found on this fish so far states that it's quite shy and does like quite a bit of plant cover, which I've found to be the case with my pair as well. I currently have these fish in a 20-gallon high with some hornwort to provide cover. I really do think this is a nice looking fish with its yellow coloration and black markings. I'm definitely pretty excited to have this species in my fish room. Heading onwards, let's take a look at another Variatus platy location that I was able to add to the fish room, this one being from Rio Ojito. I was able to get these fish at the auction that followed the tour of Rusty Wessel's fish house. I was able to pick up both the parents and subsequently the fry, but unfortunately lost the parents. Even though I don't have any footage of the male, he was a pretty nice looking fish before he passed. I have this group living in a 20-gallon tank, and the fry seem to have adjusted well. I'm really looking forward to getting this colony going so I can get these fry grown up and show you what these fish look like in their adult form. This next pair of fish is a pair of fish that I've never seen in the hobby before, and that's the Xiphophorous Monticolus. This swordtail species was another find from the ALA silent auction on Saturday. I really didn't find too much online on this species, other than your typical live bearer information. From what I did find, this fish gets to be about 2 inches long and does require some plant cover along with open swimming space. If anyone does have any additional sources of information on this fish, I would definitely love to learn more. I currently put this pair in a 29-gallon tank with some hornwort for cover. I'll definitely keep you informed as these fish grow out and I learn more about this species. Let's head to this next 20-gallon tank, which is home to the Xiphophorous Meyeri, or marbled platy. This fish is a close cousin of the Xiphophorous cuccianus, which we also have here in the fish tank barn. Much like its cuccianus cousin, this fish is extremely rare and critically endangered in the wild, as demand for water is drying out its habitat. This is another smaller platy species, topping out at about 1.5 inches. Carry requirements for these fish are similar to your typical aquarium strains of platy. Now let's head over and talk about the Xiphophorous Andersi, which are probably some of the most rare platy species in the hobby. These little platies come from Rio Atoyac in the state of Veracruz in Mexico. I was able to find these fish in the Friday G'day Working Group auction. This platy species was scientifically identified in 1980, and from what I understand, seems to be pretty hard to come by even in the wild. While there's not a ton of information on this fish, it does tend to be on the smaller side, being about 2 inches or so. I currently have this pair sharing a 20-gallon high with a group of black Moscow fry that were already inhabiting the tank. These fish seem to be a bit larger than some of the other fish that I've purchased, so hopefully we'll have some fry from these guys pretty soon. The next fish we come to is this cool little poecillid, the Poecilleopsis Turneri, or black spot live bearer. This fish hails from the Rio Purification Basin in Mexico. This was another fish that I didn't really find a ton of information on, but based on some of the other Poecilleopsis species that I've kept, I would keep them like your typical guppy or endler. I really do like the coloration on this fish, with its silvery body and black markings. I'm really looking forward to spawning this small group in their 20-gallon tank. So let's take a look at the small group of fry of Limia Tridens. These were the first fish of the weekend that I bought from Ryan at Wild Fish Tanks, who had a booth in the vendor room during the convention. I've had this species before, but it was time to give it another attempt. It will take a little bit of time for these guys to grow out, but I'm looking forward to getting another Limia colony established. If you want to learn more about Limias and their care, I'll go ahead and put my care guide video in a card up here at the top corner. So next up is another find from the ALA silent auction, the Xiphophorous Gordoni, or northern platy fish. This fish can be found in the vicinity of Cuatro Ciénegas in the Mexican state of Coahuila, where it's found in hot spring ditches and marshes. This is another highly endangered platy species due to habitat destruction in its native range. This small platy species tops out at about 1.5 inches long. When looking at the bag, we weren't exactly sure if this was a pair of fish or two females, since the fish were quite small. I currently have these guys in a 20-gallon tank, and I really want to see these fish grow out and see how they develop. Next up is a fish that's very special, and that's this trio of Xenotoca Eiseni. What makes this group special is that they're the oldest collection in the hobby, coming from the Robert Rush Miller collection at the University of Michigan. Being collected at Nayarit, Mexico, in Manatol El Sacristan in 1955. There was a second location of this fish that was collected in Jalisco in 2000, but we definitely shouldn't mix the two locations. This is definitely a fish that I'll cherish here in the fish barn, and I'm definitely looking forward to breeding this and someday getting some more out to my fellow hobbyists. One of the things I like to do, where there's conventions that have rare fish at it, is look to add to populations of fish that I already have. And there was a couple of opportunities where I was able to do that. The first, I was able to get some more juvenile knife live bearers. I did have 3 adults, but I really did want to boost this colony up, so hopefully we can kickstart this colony and start to produce some fry. I was also really happy to get some more Poecilleopsis infans. I only had 1 individual fish left from a small group that I got at the ALA convention in 2021. So when these became available in the G'day auction, I was really happy to be able to boost my colony back up again. There's nothing I really hate more than only having 1 fish of a particular species. So I was really happy to find these guys and really be able to boost this colony up. And hopefully, just like the knife live bearers, we'll be able to get some more fry. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at all the new fish that I picked up at the Triple Crown. Finding all of these new fish was really a highlight to my weekend. So now that I have these fish in the fish barn, I really do feel a great responsibility to get these fish breeding and hopefully being able to donate some of these species back to some of the Gadaid working group auctions that occur throughout the year. So with that being said, stay safe, stay fishy, and I'll catch you on the next video.